All right, on the phone with us right now is Chris Broderick, formerly of Megadeth. He's got a new band now called Act of Defiance. And real quick, I have a Chris Broderick story, and I've been waiting years to tell you this. But I saw you play for the first time in 2002 when you were with Jag Panzer. You were touring with Iced Earth and In Flames, and
I remember that tour really well.
Yeah, and it was at Harpo's in Detroit, and I remember this because it was 420.
Yep.
And I was really big into guitar lessons at the time, and I was just like super impressed with your playing because at the time I didn't know who you were. And when you guys were done playing, I turned around, I think during In Flames' set, and you were standing there, and I just was like, hey, dude, you were so great on stage, and you were so cool, and you were so appreciative of my compliment that I was just been a huge fan ever since. And when you got the gig in Megadeth, I was like, that's my boy Chris, man. So yeah, I mean, 13 years later, man, now you're on the show, so I'm again super excited to have you on here.
Well, thank you very much. I might have been worried there for a second. I was like, oh, is this a good story or a bad story?
No, it's a good story. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I remember that. I remember that gig really well, and I remember Harpo's and the what seems like a 16-foot high stage and all of that. But yeah, it was a great tour, a great time, and thanks.
Yeah, it was, and at the time I didn't smoke or anything. I think it was like my first contact buzz I got. So during Iced Earth's set, I was like, what is going on here?
Right.
So you got a new band called Act of Defiance. You and Sean, formerly of Megadeth, you formed it. Does the name have anything to do with you leaving Megadeth?
Not really, no. It's just, when we first started thinking about names for the band, I just put an online doc that we could all edit, and we started just throwing names up there, and the one that came up that we all really liked was Defiance. And so we started looking into that and seeing how, out there it was in the public, and it was pretty well taken. It's, not the most uncommon name you could think of in the world. So we were bummed about that, but then we were like, maybe we can make it a phrase, and so we started tossing around terms to either place in front or behind it. And Act of Defiance is the one that I think caught our ears the best,
Gotcha. Now, did this, I thought the name had something to do with you leaving Megadeth, as like the Act of Defiance against Dave or anything, but if you don't mind me asking, and I'm going to try to ask it in the nicest way possible.
You can ask in any way you want.
I gotcha.
So
like, Dave has had such a revolving member of guys in the band. Is he that tough to work with?
Well, I think he knows, he knows exactly what he wants, and he has a very clear vision for what he thinks Megadeth should be and how it should be presented, both visually, sonically, in the press, every which way. So if you can manage that, then it's not too bad.
All right.
So for me personally, it just I very early on I saw it as okay, Dave's the owner of this company and I'm an employee of this company, and so as long as I'm employed, I followed the job requisite, and that's what I did. And for me, it just became time to want to strike out on my own.
Right. At what point in the band did you and Sean say, you know what, let's go form our own thing?
It was really when Dave started calling us about coming out to work on the next CD, the next Megadeth CD. And, it was, I knew my heart wasn't in it, and I wanted to get out material that I believed in and that I had written myself, and, that's when it became time to leave the band.
I gotcha. And you've got Matt from Shadows Fall playing bass and Henry from Scar the Martyr on vocals. I mean, this is some big players there. Do you guys consider yourselves a supergroup, or is it just four dudes that like playing heavy metal?
It's not a supergroup at all, for sure. We're four average dudes. We've been fortunate in our career paths and lucky enough to be able to play music for a living. And, the combination of each of us, I think, was just a really good fit.
Now, the new record is called Birth and the Burial. It's coming out on the 21st on Metal Blade Records. Now, it kind of sounds like a lot of the stuff may have been stuff you and Sean had written in Megadeth. Is this true, or did the other guys kind of have a big part in playing in the songwriting?
So, well, that's kind of a two-part question.
Okay.
The answer to the first half is definitely some of what we had written for Megadeth influenced this CD. you know, when Sean and I first left, we were talking about, you know, what a bummer it was that none of the music that we had written was ever going to see the light of day. And that's really what kicked off the idea of Active Defiance is well, let's get this stuff out there, you know? So I would say after it was all said and done, Sean and I probably used maybe a total of, you know, maybe 20% of what we had written for Megadeth on this initial CD,
okay.
Acts of Defiance. As far as the input from the others, Henry did a fair amount of writing the lyrics for Birth and the Burial, and so he came on board fairly early on. Sean and I had demoed at least half the songs we had written, and then we had sent them out to Henry to demo, and so he was doing some lyric writing. Sean had also written some lyrics, and I had written lyrics as well. And so he got a decent amount of writing credit on this CD. Matt, unfortunately, came in too late as far as when we got him on board with the band to do really any effective writing. But I really look forward to that because I know what a great writer Matt is, and you know, he's going to play such an integral role, I think, in how we sound live and, you know, and what the future of the band sounds like. That's kind of what I'm looking forward to, because I do think because of that impact that our next CD will have, you know, it'll have an impact from Matt. It'll sound different.
Awesome. Now, speaking of Matt and Henry, how did you guys hook up with them?
Well, Henry, we had done an extensive search. You know, we started thinking about singers that we would love to be able to play with. You know, some of them we were reaching for the stars, and some of them, you know, we were running back and forth between totally unknowns to, you know, people who we were almost kidding ourselves thinking that we could get to sing vocals on the CD. So, so we made a list of like 30 singers and started listening to them. And first we started weeding out, whether it would be probably scheduling conflicts or just, you know, maybe personality conflicts or anything like that. And then anything we knew would stop the process, you know, would eliminate those singers. And we narrowed it down to about 5. Henry was on that list, of course. And we sent out demos to those 5 singers, and they all returned them really killer demos. But we thought Henry's was hands down the best one.
Gotcha. Now you're talking about some singers that were reaching for the stars. Are there any like big names that you want to sing on it?
Oh yeah, yeah. We contacted some really big names, but you know, none that I am going to freely mention.
I gotcha. So. I gotcha. Hey, Bruce Dickinson, if you're not doing anything, can you maybe sing on a record?
Can you come back down here to, you know, entry level? We feel like you want to do the next van tour and come on board with us, you know?
Awesome. All right, so again, the record is Birth and the Burial, coming out August 21st via Metal Blade Records. You guys going to tour behind it? When are you going to hit the road?
Well, we're looking to get some tours going late fall.
Okay.
And we're getting pretty close to announcing some dates, but I don't want to spill the beans on anything that might not happen just yet, so I can't announce it.
Sure. I'm just going to say 2 words: Grand Rapids. So
Grand Rapids, all right.
Grand Rapids, Michigan.
You know, I've been there many times, and
you have. Yeah, I don't think Kalamazoo could do it. It's too small of a market, but I think Grand Rapids would be a great fit for you guys. Before I let you go, there's one more thing I have to ask. It is kind of a Megadeth thing. It kind of bothers me because, again, I am such a huge fan of yours, and I don't know if it bothers you, but when you joined the band, Dave was like, man, playing with Chris is what Ozzy must have felt like when he was playing with Randy. And then he gets this new guy, and he's like, best guitar player I've ever worked with. Does that make you upset?
No, not at all.
Okay.
I mean, that's Dave trying to market his band.
Gotcha.
He's just trying to get it out there so people go, oh, yeah, this is what I want to listen to, you know? And he can, you know, he's free to have that opinion, too.
That's just Dave.
Yeah, and I think Kiko's a great player and a nice guy. I've met him a couple times, and so I wish Kiko the best of luck.
All right, man. Chris Broderick from Active Defiance. Again, the record is Birth and the Burial. Thanks so much, man. It was such an honor to talk to you today.
Hey, thanks a lot, Ramon.